Hello, and welcome to Wolfcast, episode 19.
Your voice gave out on you halfway through there, didn't it? You get like tongue-tied or something?
No,
Because you like
Next
paused.
week.
I had to remember what
Next
episode we
week.
were on. I had to look and see right for me what it is.
Yeah.
Next week we do a different intro.
Why?
Just throw it up. Like, mix it up a bit.
Bonjour. Just do it in French or Spanish. Or
Yo
something.
soy podcast. Podcast.
Podcast. Do it in like find out how to say it in like the Elvish language.
You could figure out how to say it in D&D Draconic.
Draconic is hard to speak.
There's a Draconic translator on Google right now that's D&D common to Draconic.
Oh Jesus.
You can do it that way if you wanted.
But today's episode is one of my favorite ones, and it's something that I love to do in my pastime when I'm not too horribly busy, is books and reading.
Something I got grounded for years ago.
That we've touched on that, and just you and I are just love to read, and you got in trouble for reading. I was reading behind my books, and
Yeah.
but I've got a whole bunch of artists that I love and am happy to recommend for people. And
Are people who write books considered artists, or are they authors?
I mean, yes, they're authors, but they can also be considered artists of their trade. So
Yeah.
it's an art form, a written art form, but I just think it's the eye of the beholder, really.
I mean, when you look at it, like musicians and songwriters are just
They're musical artists.
they're just writers. They're authors
Yeah.
of their own music, and they're artists in
Yeah.
music. So I guess it would make sense.
Yeah, they're just
All singing is just reading a book.
yeah,
out
that
loud.
rhymes sometimes. Or this, I am a pentameter is a great thing. That was one thing with like I love poetry, but like there's so many different tones for when you're writing poetry and reading poetry, because you have the iambic pentameter, you have it,
You got slam poetry.
like slam poetry, you have poetry that rhymes, poetry that doesn't rhyme, poetry that flows, that like looking at like Shakespeare and Edgar Allan Poe, just two completely different authors that just love them.
Right.
And then but yeah.
They were over in that chair.
Oh, were they in the chair?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't remember where I put them. Sorry.
That's why I don't like you to use them.
So what's one of your favorite artists or authors, Holden, if you have one? Alpha, sorry.
You're bad at this.
I am bad at this. Wait, his Twitter.
I can't say I have one. I'm not a huge book reader, never was. I mean, I could probably sit here in like less than a minute and tell you the books that I've read.
Well, I mean, I mean, I would consider like comic books as form of
I've
reading.
read two
and
comic books or 4 comic books my whole life.
It's more than I've read. No, I lied. I've read the Lock and Key graphic novels, which is awesome. Like I know you and I have watched the actual Netflix series, but the actual graphic novel of it is freaking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, which is probably stereotypical, but I've read the Harry Potter books like over and over again.
I actually only ever read one of them. It was the last one.
I've actually never read them.
The
I
last
probably
one wasn't
read
a bad read.
1 through 4, no, 1 through 5 probably several times, and then I've only read 6, 7, and then in quotation marks 8th
Right.
once. But that series of unfortunate events. I read The Hobbit once.
I didn't actually read the series of Unfortunate Events books. I actually didn't find out that those were even books until the Jim Carrey series of Unfortunate Events movie happened.
That's when they got real popular. But
Yeah.
I've probably read 1 through 10 at least once, and then I think they did like 2 or 3 more. I never read them. Artemis Fowl was one of my favorites.
I actually read Artemis Fowl for the first time because of you. The books had never interested me, and then in like my junior or senior year of high school, I think that's when they started talking about making the Artemis Fowl movie. I think. And like you were blowing up on it. You were like you were talking like how they better do a good job with it because you love them books. And I was like, you know what? I'll give them a shot. And that's when I
Books are
read.
fucking phenomenal. The movie, I'll say it. I don't care if I get canceled. The movie was fucking.
I haven't heard much on it since it came out, so it's like it's got to be
I,
bad.
I've never seen it.
I'll
So.
give it. I'll give it a 2.5 out of 10. It was. It was very bad.
That's
Right.
how I felt about because I love the Percy, like I read the Percy Jackson series and I loved it. So I was really disappointed with the movies, but
I didn't think the
The mov
movies did terrible.
they didn't do
Yeah, the
terrible, but
movies were
they
good, but they weren't like.
they left out one of the funniest parts when
What?
the daughter of Artemis got on. He's like, "And play with your dog," because
Oh
that was like
yeah.
my favorite line in the book when she was just giving Hades shit
Play
for
with your
not
damn
playing with
dog.
Cerberus.
Yeah.
Play with your
That
dog.
the Artemis Fowl movie's on Disney Plus. I think it's a Disney Plus exclusive.
I'll have to
Uh,
watch it.
Or it was supposed to come to DVD, but then they were just like, nah, Disney Plus. They knew it was bad.
yeah.
There was a book series that my ex would read. I can't remember what it was, but it was he was a Chinese detective, but apparently it was a really good series. Like it was old time Chinese detective. Like I remember reading some of it and it was really good. But
It doesn't ring any bell here. I know. I don't know the author. Like I know her name if I saw it, but the woman who writes the what is the series called? Damn it!
hmm,
It's the House of Night series. Those books are really good.
I've actually never heard of that.
You'd like it. You'd really like it. If you want my Kindle account, I have all of them on it.
Okay.
But then there's the Shiver, Linger, and Forever trilogy. There's a fourth one that's a prequel that I didn't care for because I already know how that story ends because it tells you how that story ends in the first three in the other three books. My first chapter book I ever read would have been The Magic Treehouse. I
Yeah, I read them. Those were decent.
Mine was actually Interview the Vampire.
really
Yeah.
my
The,
first adult chapter book that I read was Dean Koontz Sees the Night, and it's because my mom is a huge Dean Koontz fan, and she had a lot of his books, and it was just Seize the Night was the first one I remember reading.
See, I'm more
Mama.
because go ahead, sorry, Alpha.
I just said shout out, Mama.
Shout
Yeah.
out, Mama. Hey, Mom. No, for me, uh, because I like reading the supernatural books, like your vampires, werewolves, stuff
Mm,
like that, especially the vampire novels, because I love vampires.
that's why you'd like the House of Night series.
Um, but there was two books that I had read that weren't supernatural that like really held my interest. One was I can't remember his name. I remember it's over in the A B section of the library because that's where I would find it. But the name of the book was called Red Raptor, and it was a story about a raptor told through her point of view. And like it was really good. Like
Huh.
it wasn't a kid's book. It was like a legit
It
legit author.
it almost sounds like one of them what is it, Redwall books where the animals are the protagonists and shit.
Well, no, because she
That's what it
wasn't.
sounded
She
like.
didn't talk. Like
Uh
it was. Like she told the story like verbally, like someone would tell a story,
mm,
but she wasn't. The way that they talked was in their chirps and chips and stuff
mm.
that raptors do. Like that book was awesome. And then another one I had read was Body of Evidence by I just had her name in my head, Patricia something, and
Patricia.
Patricia. But it was a murder mystery and it was really good.
The first non-supernatural, like
Patricia Cornwell.
non supernatural, like nobody's superhuman or anything like that. That first series would have been. They actually just turned it into a movie. I want to say within the last 5 years, and I can't remember the fucking name of it.
What was it about?
A teenage kid ends up getting into some bullshit with the British Special Service, and he turns out to be like this really good spy for him.
007.
Yeah. I think they actually make fun of 007 at one point in time in the books. But Alex Rider. Got it. The Alex Rider series. That was a phenomenal series. I didn't watch the movie because I didn't care to watch the movie. I'd read all the books. I knew how the story ended. I don't care at that point. It wasn't a book I wanted to see put into a movie. It's like Blood and Chocolate.
Oh,
That didn't need to be a movie.
I liked the movie. I didn't read the book though, but
It was a werewolf book that didn't need to be a movie. And the fact that they have the werewolves do parkour and it made no fucking sense because nowhere in the movie do they ever do any sort of parkour.
and from what I know, and from what I heard, the ending is different from the book's ending.
Talking about Twilight.
No.
I did read the Twilight books though.
I couldn't get past the first 3 pages of Twilight.
I couldn't put the books down.
I gave them a shot, and this was when the first 2 movies that came out. I was like, you know what? I'm going to see what the hype is. Let's see what's so good about it. And I was so bored within the first 3 to 4 pages of the first Twilight book. There was nothing to grab my attention.
I had an ex-girlfriend who, um, fuck, I just went brain dead. She
Sure.
was like, she was going to go see the movie when it came out. And I was like, well, I want to go. And she was like, well, have you read the book? And I was like, no. And she's like, well, then you're not going to get it. And I was like, well, if it's the first movie, I'll be fine. And she was like, no, you have to read the book. So, me being the simp I was in high school,
You went and read the books.
I went and read the first book. And mind you, I only had like a week to read it. And I told previously, I had said, I don't read. Like I read in school. If something catches my eyes, I'll read it. But like, so I'm sitting here like, is it really worth it? And I started reading it, and I actually enjoyed the Twilight books. The books are way better than the movies, but then I was like, so we went and saw the movie because I finished the book in time, and I was like, holy shit, the book was better, but this movie was actually pretty decent. She's like, well, you better get starting reading because there's 3 more. I said, what?
What?
I know the last movie had a lot of people disappointed because apparently, like, that entire flashbacks or into the future scene doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen in the book.
Yeah.
It's a vision.
Mm-hmm. All because he wanted to
But
know his future.
The first time I seen that movie, I was like I like froze, and then I was like, wait, this isn't in the book. And that was like one of my first ever times where I was like, that's not in the book. Because normally I watch so much shit that like by next week, I'm like, wait, that happened last week? Or like, so I would read the book and then say the movie comes out years later. I probably don't remember what I read in the book.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I was with because my first what got me into reading the Anne Rice Vampire Chronicles was when Interview with the Vampire came out. I saw the movie and fell in love with it, and then because I also had a huge crush on Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt and Tony Banderas, Christian Slater. I was like, eye candy central.
What woman didn't have a crush on those men?
Shut up. So I ended up reading the books, and I really loved the books. And so when Queen of the Damned came out, I was really, really upset. Like, as the movie, if I look at it and I don't compare it to the book, it's not a bad movie. But as an
I didn't even know it was a book.
yeah. But as an avid Anne Rice fan, I'm sitting there going, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. But I found out the reason why the movie was such a, poorly thrown together is because they were going to lose the rights to the Vampire Chronicles.
Mm.
And so they just made a real quick movie so they could keep the rights. And it really pissed off Anne Rice because she's like, because they didn't like get any of her help for the story, nothing. And it just was a complete shit show.
Damn.
Yeah. But they're now making a Interview with the Vampire series on what is it? It just looked AMC and I really want to watch it, but we don't have AMC.
No.
But I need to read her Witching Hour series, which is the Mayfair Witches.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard they're really
There
good.
was a dragon series that I had read. I want to say there were 4 books.
Dragons of Pern? Those were big back in my day.
I don't
read one
remember
book.
what the fuck they were called. I remember that book though, and I think I read one of those. But it wasn't like, oh yes, big ferocious dragons. It was
We're nice. Please don't hurt us.
no, it was the dragons were clay. They were clay sculptures that were brought to life by this old woman.
That's cool as hell.
You know, like they were tiny, like they could fit in the palm of your hand, but they were the dragons. And they could come to life, and when they did come to life, it wasn't like, you know, they spread their wings and flew around. It was just kind of like the statues would float and talk and breathe fire that way.
That's cool.
There was a special way that in a special area that they could actually like open wings and shit, but you don't find that out until like the third or fourth book. I don't remember what the fuck it was called though. I just remember on the cover it would have the eye of a dragon surrounded by different colored scales.
That's
And
familiar as fuck.
yeah, there was a red one, a gold one, a green one, and I think a blue one. And those are the only thing I remember about them. They were almost everywhere in the middle school library and high school library.
Hey, buddy, it was Aragon.
No, it wasn't Aragon.
Everything you just described.
It wasn't Aragon.
No. Well, the Last Dragon Chronicles.
Maybe. Hang on, let me do a little research here. I'll figure it out. My memory will be jogged.
Well, while he's doing his memory jogging, let's do our nerdy portion of, you know, our podcast, our educational part of it. Just because I like to educate people. But the earliest writings were on clay tablets and were probably administrative lists, basically a honeydew list. The first written story that has come down to us is the Epic of Gilgamesh. It is a mythologicalized account of a historical figure, Gilgamesh, a ruler of the Sumerian city-state of Uruk, believed to have ruled sometime between 2700 to 2500 BC. But the oldest book in existence is a Buddhist holy text called the Diamond Sutra. It considered to be the oldest surviving dated printed book in the world. It was found in a walled-up cave in China along with other printed materials. The book is made up of Chinese characters printed on a scroll of gray printed paper wrapped along a wooden pole, as it's been thought to have been created between the 2nd and 5th century CE.
Huh. And it was the Last Dragon Chronicles. That is the book series I am talking about. So yeah, you were right.
But following the genre of books that I like, another really good series that I love is the Mercy Thompson books.
Mm-hmm.
She's a coyote shifter, and she runs with a pack of wolves.
Sounds like some Animorph type shit.
But she deals with the Fae, vampires, witches. They're really good series to read.
That was a series that any of you ever read, the Animorph.
I remember those. And they used to, there was also a TV series of it.
Yeah,
wasn't
they
it?
tried to make the TV series good, and I don't remember. I remember picking up one of the books and reading it, and the only thing I remember is that one of the Animorph bad guys could turn into like a giant praying mantis and damn near killed one of the other characters.
I remember if you were in your Animorph form for too long, that you would get stuck in that form. That's something I remember. Remember growing up, as I also love reading comic books, like not like the graphic novel comic books, but the Garfield and Heathcliff, and I loved reading those.
Do you ever read Bones?
No, I never did.
The graphic novel Bones.
Mm-mm.
That was another good one.
Another really good
It
supernatural
was made
series.
by the guy who did The Simpsons, Matt Groening.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But it was for kids, except when it wasn't.
No, another really good book series is it's a bit more adult, and well, it
Probably
gets
a lot more adult.
well, it gets a lot more adult after like the 4th book is the Anita Blake series. Well, the Mercy Thompson is written by Patricia Briggs, but you can also look at Mercy Thompson series and it'll bring up the author. The Anita Blake series is written by Laurel K. Hamilton, and it deals with a necromancer, a wolf, and a vampire. And it's a really weird love triangle thing. It's really, really good. And then a really good adult vampire book to read is The Black Dagger Brotherhood by J.K. Ward. Oh my god, like
Yeah, the Black Dagger Brotherhood is real fucking good.
It's got sex in it, but it also has a plot, has story,
The plot
has great reading, and it's filled with drama, and like it's really good.
The only thing,
Climax and plot.
the only thing I remember from the Black Dagger Brotherhood, I know there's a lot to them. I read a lot of them, but whenever the Black Dagger Brotherhood is mentioned, I only remember of the only thing I can remember is think of me when you do it next time. When the Butch
yeah,
bodyguard.
I loved her so much.
Yeah.
She was a simp. A simp.
Yeah, she was one of the lessers.
Mm-hmm. No, she wasn't lesser. She was a
She was
sympath.
beneath Wrath and all them.
Yeah, because she was a sympath. That's why. She was just like the guy who owned the bar.
Mm.
I can't remember his name. I was reading his story, I think, when I left off.
I was reading What's-Her-Face's dad's story when he gets reincarnated.
Oh, yeah, John, yeah.
Yeah. That's where I left off on the Black Dagger Brotherhood. There's another... It's not Shiver, Linger, and Forever, and it's not the House of Night series. I'm trying to remember what the fuck it was called. I have it on my Kindle app. But the plot was essentially you got a werewolf clan of people, but they're not werewolves in the sense of they transform into wolves.
Mm-hmm.
They are already wolves that, thanks to magic, can appear human and talk human.
Mm.
But it takes place in a town in the middle of the fucking mountains. And all the humans know that there are wolves amongst them, and they're not supposed to fuck with them. Because there's a hierarchy of mages that run the town, and the wolves are their protectors. They're called guardians. And a new kid, transfer student, gets brought in, and he doesn't know the rules. He doesn't honestly give a fuck about the rules. And it starts this weird love triangle between an alpha female, an alpha male, and this human. And it's really fucking interesting. I can't remember the name of that series though. It's on my Kindle somewhere.
I remember the book series that we were reading on our phones. I really liked.
What were you saying, Alpha?
I read Coach Dungy's biography, just being from Indiana, and some fucking biographies are just really freaking inspiring though.
Mm-hmm.
I could never, like, if I'm reading something, it almost has to be fiction. I cannot read nonfiction. I can't read biographies.
I agree with that 100%. Like, because I think I mentioned last podcast, like when you get starting to read, because like someone for me who doesn't read much, which I've stated several times, I feel like a broken record, but like opening up that book, like I obviously I'll buy the book if it interests me or I want to read it, and I'm like, all right, but like mentally I'm like, fuck, now I have a 500-page book I have to read, and I know most people can read like a chapter a night and be fine. Me mentally, that's not how my brain works. My brain's fucked up.
Or a roommate who can read a book in a day.
Yeah, like that's almost me. Like I will have to I have to finish this book so I can move on to the next thing that I want to do in life.
Yeah.
But like I'll start reading I don't know where I was going with this, but like as a fiction book, you were talking about how I was talking about how you just get lost in it. It's almost like
an escape.
Say like that, and on top of like whoever the main character's name is you're essentially that main character. That's how I am, at least. I feel like that's me.
On that note, I prefer books that talk in first person. I don't mind books that read in the third person. Like, he did this, she did that.
Jesus hit me with a football bat. Every time I can't help it.
But like, I prefer the books that go with that first person point of view, where when you're reading it, it's like, I said this, I did this, because then it helps with putting you in the main character's shoes.
But I don't know, that I read that biography and Tebow's biography because, well, I'm a huge football fan. Dungy was the coach of the Colts. Colts are my favorite team, and I'm from Indiana. Versus like Tebow is my favorite player. Unfortunately, he's not in the NFL anymore because he's just, in some people's eyes, not good. But it was just some of the things you read. is like it almost like it's weird to say like they have like they went to college, they made a career out of themselves, and they're living a whole different lifestyle, but some of the shit that they go through is shit that we go through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another thing, like as in like all these people in the world are like, oh well, they're actors, they have all this money and yada yada yada, but they still have the same fucking problems.
Well, I think also a lot of people forget is that they weren't born actors. Like they started out in life a lot like us. Like
Well,
look at George Takei. Like I said last podcast, he was in a concentration camp in America because he was Japanese. Like he wasn't a famous person until later in life.
I actually saw it was a Facebook post last night, and it was a movie scene from Harry Potter. I want to say the sixth one, whichever one the sixth one was. Is that the Half-Blood Prince?
You've got
Yeah, that's the Half-Blood Prince.
Stone.
So it's that scene where they're in the room of requirement, and he's training all the other younger wizards. And it's just his line where he says, "All great wizards started where we are now. Students not knowing what the fuck to do." He doesn't actually say what the fuck to do, but
knowing what to do, yeah.
knowing what to do. And those words can translate to the real world. Every artist, musician, actor, writer, what have you, started out as nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They might have had help along the way, but they started as nothing. And they got to where they are through that hard work and perseverance. And yeah, maybe sometimes their help was what got their foot in the door, but they still started with nothing.
Yep.
And it's just some of the truly inspirational shit you can get from a movie.
I can't remember how to spell Rudolph. I can remember if it's Rudolf or
Roudulh. Because I think it's like Swedish or something like that.
Swedish. Don't watch that movie. Rudolph.
Rudol, yeah, PH.
Steven with a PH. Steven? Oh, PH. Another really good series. And an ex of mine got me hooked on it, and I need to get back into reading it. It's the Monster Hunter International book series, and it is really good. Like, there's a group of monster hunters that go out and, like, they're not hunting every monster, but it's just the ones that are being a menace to society.
Mm.
But there's werewolves, and a really funny part of it is that this one guy's like, oh, we're gonna go see fairies, or no, we're gonna go see elves. I'm so excited. And apparently the elves are like the near like redneck backwater hicks.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, because the queen is like a really huge fat lady, like really bad. He's like, man, I thought they're gonna be tall and slender and like really ethereal. She's like, nah, we ain't like them bugs, man. So funny.
That reminded me of another book series that I read in high school. Or no, this would have been middle school, my 8th grade year that I read it. I believe it was called The Last Apprentice. And Disney, I believe, made a movie on it called like The Alchemist's Apprentice.
Oh yeah,
like
with Con Air. Come on, Face Off. It's right there, huh?
Jack Nicholson?
No. It's hang on, it's right there. I can see it. It's the whole the face where he's like, he was in Ghost Rider. His name is
Nicolas Cage.
Thank you.
What's funny is I had the lyric from the Tech 9 song Face Off go through my head because there's a part in that song where you go just like Nicolas Cage in Face Off.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
But
make me sit here struggling.
Yeah, it's got him in it, and I looked at The Alchemist's Apprentice, and I go, this isn't even a direct like nothing about this is directly from the book. It's almost like that movie took inspiration from the book, like they took ideas from the book and slapped it on here.
You probably did.
Because The Last Apprentice is fan-fucking-tastic in every sense of the fucking word. I think I read that series 2 or 3 times, all like 6 books of it in 8th grade. But it was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal.
Then you get the Magic the Gathering books. You don't even technically have to read those. Just play the game.
Essentially,
You'll get all the lore that's in the books from playing the game. League of Legends has lore that you can read, but you can also just play the game and listen to quotes and get all that.
Or if you're a Camarilla player like I am, you have your Vampire the Masquerade and stuff like that.
Fucking Castlevania.
Mm-hmm.
They did a short story based off the Teen Wolf TV show.
I remember seeing
And
like full-fledged novels of Teen Wolf in libraries.
there's like a almost like a comic version books of like Teen Wolf, but they
Gotcha.
did like a spin-off, like it kind of like takes place in season 1, and then it's like a side story. It's never mentioned in the TV series.
Huh.
And they were supposed to do more, and they never did. So I was a little frustrated about that, but
I can
it's still a
imagine.
pretty good book. I ended up selling a lot of my books. I think the only books I still own is all the Harry Potter books, that Teen Wolf book. I think that's almost it. I got rid of all my Series of Unfortunate Events, my Twilights, my Tebow. Holes, that was a good book. I've read Holes several times.
I never ever finished that book. Like I remember I started reading it, but never finished it.
Such a good book.
When that movie came out and I saw it as a kid, that's when I found out that Holes was a book. And I didn't see, because as a kid, if I saw it as a movie, I didn't see a point in reading the book. Now I know, the books and the movies could be different.
Totally different.
It's just how it is. So I'll read a book and watch the movie or vice versa. But back then, I didn't care. So I never actually read the Holes book. If the Holes book has the scene where it's like, I'm tired of digging Grandpa, that's too damn bad. Best scene in the entire fucking movie.
Could you imagine reading that book? I don't remember if it's in the book or not, which is sad because I could honestly tell you I've probably read Holes more than I've read anything.
Right.
But could you just imagine as a kid just reading the book, you're about halfway in, it's got says cut or cut back or cut scene or whatever flashback. That's the word I'm looking for. Flashback scene. And it's just like, I'm tired of digging Grandpa. Well, that's too damn bad. And you're just like looking around in your classroom, like, what the fuck?
The only moment I had where I looked around in a classroom from a movie was Ice Age 2. And it's the very fucking beginning of the movie. And Manny, the mammoth, is telling a story, and one of the kids interrupt him and says, my mom said that's actually called a wild ass. And then Manny, the mammoth, goes, okay, fine, the wild ass boy went home to his wild ass mother. And I was like, this is a kid's movie, right? And then it turns around and it shows one of the prehistoric beavers whenever the water starts breaking through, and he just goes, damn. And we were all like paused and looked around like, is this okay?
That reminds me, like, because they can get away, like, Disney movies can get away with it as long as they only say certain words. Like, in, what was it? A Bug's Life, when she's sitting there and goes, I'm the princess, damn it, and throws something through the window. I'm like, can they say that? It's a kids movie.
Yeah, I think they can only say damn
and hell, I think.
Ass and hell.
The Nightshade series was the other werewolf series that I was trying to think of earlier. It's the Nightshade Trilogy.
What was the werewolf series that we read on our phones that was really good that had this?
Oh, that was an off artist. Because that entire app was like up and coming authors that were just trying to get their books out there. I actually don't remember, and I don't have that app anymore.
I still have it, I think, but I can't remember what it's
It was really good as well. I know a lot of people complained in the comments section that it was almost like a self-insert fan fiction.
Well, I mean, a lot of books are, if you look at them.
Because like a lot of the sexual scenes in it were just overzealous, and I mean, come on, there's an entire scene where it's like, if I wasn't married, I'd climb him like a tree.
Oh yeah. What? Is this what you girls talk about when I'm not around?
Like, it's an entire scene. Or when she's describing the man's package, and she's like, it was as wide as my arm. It's like, God fucking damn. How wide is your arm?
It's all that. I'd climb him like a tree. Leia. They're all just like,
Have you ever watched a movie and thought it's better than the book?
No.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think I can. I know there's probably people out there like, yeah, this movie's way better than this book.
I've never seen one so far that's like that, but I mean, miracles do happen.
Well, I'm still hoping.
Right?
Hope for a fucking
Storybook
miracle.
of our life. There you go. It'd be a 4-minute film. They came, they saw, they failed. The end.
Okay. So the Nightshade, the Nightshade series is. So I mentioned Linger, Shiver, and Forever, that trilogy, and I said that they had a prequel that I didn't care for because I knew how that story ends. That was incorrect. It was actually the Nightshade trilogy that had the prequel that I didn't care for, and that prequel has 2 other books after it as well. So this trilogy turned into technically a 6-book series if you read the prequels, and I didn't care for that personally.
No, I love books. I remember back in the day when they were burned books because they're like propaganda, blah blah. It's
We
this
haven't
that
seen
day
it.
in
We haven't seen a
history.
good book burning in a while.
I hope we never see another book burning. Because, I'm down with burning brawls and shit, but not books, man. Like, I still, like, whenever I watch TikToks or movies and I see someone tear a book, I'm like, ooh, like, no, you monster. Like, it physically hurts my soul to see someone hurt a book. I'm just like, what did, or, like, I'll see stuff on TikTok where someone is like, a good person puts a bookmark in. An okay person puts a receipt in. A monster folds the corner of the
Oh, I always
page.
folded the corner of the page.
You're a monster.
Always folded the shit.
No. Poor book.
What was another one they talked about making a movie out of? It was the
Everything.
Yeah.
no. God, where? They're bird people essentially. They're human hybrids that got created, and they're half bird. And I can't remember the fucking name of it.
Lost me.
I'm sure on Kindle I could find it. Give me a hot minute.
But that Monster Hunter International, for anybody that wanted to know, is Larry Correa is the author. But it's a really good book series.
Maximum Ride by James Patterson. Did you just say you hate James Patterson?
No, I was saying James Patterson.
Yeah. The Maximum Ride series is fan-fucking-tastic.
I need.
There are 9 books in the series. And then he came out with a spin-off series called Hawk.
I need colors.
What time are we at?
38 minutes.
38 minutes?
And you really wouldn't talk about books for longer than 5 minutes. It's been half an hour.
I'm surprised.
I used to write stories all the time growing up.
Oh, I did too. Like I think still saved up. I have little books that I started to write back in the day, and I just never got around to finishing it.
I wrote, I think from my senior year to about a year after I graduated, a book about, I can't even remember it. It's been so long. I'm fucking old. I just remember it was like a group of people and they were, all dealing with their own problems, and then they were on the football team and one of them had cancer, and they fought through it and they ended up winning the state championship, and then that like went off to like where they graduated, and then like they all had to come back and deal with some problem with like some like gunfight or something that happened in the neighborhood they grew up in or whatever. I don't think I ever finished it. I think I got bored with it because then I started a new series about uh werewolves and vampires and shit, and I wrote that series. That was more like a series. Um I based it pretty much like I was writing a script for a TV show.
Mm.
And I probably wrote like 10 seasons worth of shit for that show.
No, I'll tell you one thing.
It's just
Go ahead.
crazy.
No, I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm saying it's just it like every time I thought I could end it, I always left it with like a little cliffhanger, and then like months later I would be be thinking about it and be like, nope, back to the drawing boards.
No, one of the things I always hate with what they do to books is like whenever the book's been out for a while and then they make a movie of it, how they'll change the cover of the book to the movie like poster or something like that. I hate when they do that. Like, you don't need to change the book to match, the movie poster to make the book more, sellable. I always hate when they do that. Bless you.
I love the directors and producers who are just like, we don't want to. Nobody wants to sit through a movie that's word for word like the book. Like, I guarantee you, there are fans of the book that'll sit through a 9-hour movie.
Happily. You give me a rendition of my Vampire Chronicles that are damn tea to the book, I'll sit there for however long to watch them. As long as you get my characters right and you don't kill off the wrong ones, we'll be freaking A-okay. I will tell you one thing, though, that I'm not happy about with the Anne Rice series. So, I read the Anne Rice series all the way up until she took her hiatus, started writing about Christian stuff and all that jazz. Because she's like, I just kind of found myself, I was in a dark place, blah, 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 and just didn't speak to me anymore. And then she, realized through her own way of the corruption within it and came back to writing the Vampire Chronicles. And it just wasn't the same. Like, I was reading Prince Lestat when I got it, and I struggle bust so hard through it. Like, I still have the Realms of Atlantis upstairs that I haven't gotten past the first chapter. Because I'm just like, it's not like how I remember, and it's just like it's written so differently. I'm like, it's grueling to read it now. I'm like, what did you do to my Lestat? What did you do to my Vampire Chronicles? And I'm just like, It makes me so mad. I'm like, no, my babies.
Or when you read a book and they turn it into a show or a movie or whatever, and then they change fucking everything. That shit fucking sucks.
I know certain things like, and I'm not saying this as in, they shouldn't do this and that I hate it, but like if there's certain characters in books that are a certain ethnicity, a certain race, a certain like look, don't change it. Like I am not against, inclusion and changing up certain things, but if the character is, a full-on 6 foot tall black man, don't make him a 6 foot tall, white-haired, blue-eyed person. Like, follow the book, because you're gonna have a lot of pissed off people. So it's like, don't change it to whitewash it, because that's just shitty. You don't see Chinese culture, Chinese washing all the movies. They actually follow through. If they're movies, they do it, but they don't cast a white person as a Chinese person.
No, but why would they?
Because
their population is mostly Chinese.
But look at like Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee movies. They actually had like white people play white parts. They weren't, making a Chinese person play a white man.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
We'll do that. We'll make a Chinese person into a white person because we don't want to have a Chinese person in the movie, which is stupid. Like, bitches.
Oh, I love it when like females get cast as like male parts and it fucking just pisses like half the world off. And like I'm like, why are you fucking pissed? Like maybe that's not how it is in the book or whatever or what you saw. But like I mean, I just think everyone deserves a shot and fucking, and then half the time, or not even half the time, more than half the time, these people go in and fucking kill the roles. And some people don't even know that it was supposed to be a male or a female and then somebody else is playing that part until there's an uproar about it.
Because wasn't there an uproar about Captain Marvel being a female? Or was Captain Marvel always female?
Captain Marvel is always female. There is somebody that is in the Marvel universe that was supposed to be something, or it was either supposed to be a guy that was, I can't remember though. It's just like in Supergirl, there's a girl she's supposed to be a girl, but the female that is casted for this part was a male. She's transgender, and everyone was pissed off about that. But she's fucking amazing, and she's fucking gorgeous.
Right, a lot of your trans are absolutely gorgeous. What was he doing?
Just playing with a toy. I agree to an extent. So it's one thing to, like, how do you word this? Casting a gay, trans, or opposite gender character in a movie. It's one thing to cast it like that. It's another thing to cast these people because you know it's going to bring in
Money.
money.
Yeah, don't do it for the wrong reasons.
So it's like when they have a trans person playing a big role and they're like, hey, look what we did. Ha ha ha. We're cool. We're with it. Come watch our movie.
We're hip. We're with the kids.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't even know what you were quoting.
That was Austin Powers when he was going,
Oh.
when Doctor was going, I'm cool. I'm hip.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Oh. Sorry.
But don't make that your marketing point. Don't make that your selling point for a movie, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it just makes you look like a piece of shit.
Right. Like when they cast her name's Laverne something, but when they remade Rocky Horror, how they cast her as Frankenfurter and she's like legit transgender and everything. I'm like, that's really cool. Like that's something that you would do.
Yeah.
You know. So I thought that was really cool. So is there any other book series that you guys like or that you wanted to read or
I've gone through all of them.
yeah.
I need to reread the Maximum Ride series because I forgot it existed. I want to reread Linger and all them, but
You started to, but then you stopped.
yeah, because I've read Linger. I read that entire trilogy so many times that I pick up the book and I have it practically memorized. I know what's going to happen next. It's still there. I reread The House of Night because she released more than what I had access to in high school.
Mm.
So I reread it to refresh that story and then read the new books. And then I reread Nightshade because I was getting it mixed up with Linger.
Mm.
So
Because you told me how the Linger, Shiver, and all that ended. I'm like, that's kind of shitty.
yeah, okay. So it ends with
Spoilers.
yeah, spoilers. If you care to read Linger, Shiver, and Forever, Forever is the last book. And I'm actually gonna go upstairs and grab that motherfucker, and I'm gonna read you the last page. It pissed me off.
All right, well, that's going to be it for the podcast today. We got to hurry up and end this real quick before he gets back. If you do like this video, please like and subscribe. If you do, and then see you later. Bye. Peace. Podcast is over.
What's funny is he can talk, but I don't think you did. You hear him?
We lost him. He's out of range.
He's like, I still got my headset on, I can hear you. He's good.
No, I turned my headset back off.
Oh.
Alright, so here I have It's Forever. It's by Maggie Stiefvater.
Spice Factor.
And it was the last book of the trilogies. Your first one's Shiver, your second one's Linger, your last one is Forever. It's a love story. It's a very good love story. The last sentence. Grace, Sam said, and I opened my eyes. He reached out his hand to me. And then it's over. That was the very last sentence in the entire book.
I'm just sitting there as a kid. The hell?
Like the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, where she's like, what the f-? And it just ends.
Yeah, because
that
you
was my
get that
brain.
you get that last sentence, and then it goes into the author's note, and you read the author's note, and then it goes into an excerpt from the next series she's working on, which has nothing to do with Linger, Shiver, and Forever. The artwork for the cover is fantastic, though.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
But it just pissed me off.
I know. So I know me personally, I've never read the book, but Watership Down, like.
Holy shit.
What?
I thought an ex of mine had this book, and it pissed me off because I thought she had this.
Oh.
Because this one has my bookmark in it, the only bookmark I've ever liked.
And there it is.
Oh, there it is.
And there it is.
Did I get that for you? Did you buy that?
I bought this from Half Price Books.
Price Books is the boss.
But this is the design that I want my sleeve to be done.
It's a Celtic knotwork.
Yeah, I'll send it to you, Alpha, so you can see it. But I was real pissed off because I thought when she left, I thought she took the book with her.
Mm. Surprise.
Yeah.
Just very nice. It's driving me nuts.
Yard be my wife.
It's me wife. She drives me nuts.
It's sending, it's sending, it's sending, it's sending. Still sending. Alright, sent.
Anything.
And it's also like
Yeah, it's
metal.
It's a metal bookmark, dear.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing. Nothing wrong with metal bookmarks.
No, I could just beat your ass.
No,
with it
I meant getting that tattooed.
Oh.
I'm gonna get that. That's what's gonna connect my wrist to my upper arm to my chest. That design.
I apologize for any
Ow.
crunching you hear. Our dog is chewing on his bone I got him.
Crunch, crunch, crunch. He's trying to whittle it down into another.
Yeah, I whittled it
He
into
literally
another.
is working on that end too.
Is he really?
Yeah.
So you know how we joke around the dog has that shiv that we always tell people to be careful because he'll hold it so he can shank people. Well, I got him a new one because he had the other one chewed down so far. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna get you a new one, buddy. And when I went shopping, the store had it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I got him a new one. So now he's currently whittling down the end to make his shiv again.
Yep.
Dog. Goodness gracious.
But the only way he'd ever stop an intruder is they'd break in. He'd happily pick it up and then run into them.
Right.
You guys just come down for work the next morning. What the fuck?
Just sitting there tail wagging.
I made new friends. You killed them, buddy.
They're saying good things to me all night. Get help, dog. Stupid dog, get help. You're just sitting there tail wagging happily. You're so nice to me. Boy. I love our dog, but he is stupid.
He's a big dumb blonde.
He is a big dumb blonde. House
Takes
full
after
of
his
them.
mother.
Hey, you're blonde too there, buddy.
I know.
House full of blondes. You're blonde, our son's blonde, I'm blonde, dog's blonde.
Uno's not blonde.
I didn't say Uno.
I know. But I'm saying Uno's
Our
not...
roommate's blonde.
Lucy's not blonde.
No. Lucy's a snake. She's a red-tailed boa.
What's the matter, dog?
Seems like you're not paying attention to me.
No, that ain't the problem.
Oh, did you take his bone?
Yeah, it's in between my toes.
Anyway.
Well, all right.
But like I was saying, the Watership Down book, I really wanted to read that. Like, I need to read it. Another book I wanted to read, which I saw the movie of, was Animal Farm. Like, apparently that's a really good book. It's a way that shows how in the animal world, basically depicting humans through animals and how, you know, they see each other, and it's just really, really cool. Anything else, guys?
I got
Not really.
no-
I want to read.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, where are we at? We're at 53. So I think
Yeah, we can call it
we
there.
can go ahead and call it tonight. But if you have any favorite books that you like or any authors that you want us to check out and read, go ahead and just comment down below. We do check our comments and we do appreciate the feedback. And I love learning about new authors, and I'm pretty sure Fang here does beside me too. So if you have a really awesome author that you want us to check out or just, you know, tell you our insights on, just go ahead and comment for us. We'd really appreciate it. So
If you're watching and you're not subscribed, what the fuck are you doing?
It doesn't cost you anything, and if you keep coming back, it just saves some time. We'll be right there on your homepage.
right, especially if you hit that notification bell, you'll always know when we're going live. So, well, I guess that's going to be it for Wolfcast Podcast today. You know, we really appreciate you guys. Make sure you follow us on all of our social medias. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Just remember that we may not be the #1 podcast, but we can be the #1 podcast in your heart if you let us.
Or your pants if you're into that.
Or your
Holy
pants.
shit.
I mean, Well, I mean, if they put the phone in their pants while they're listening to it, and we could be talking, and
Whisper sweet nothings.
whisper sweet nothings in your pocket to your junk while you're listening to us.
Yeah.
How's it hanging?
How's hanging?
Howdy, father.
It's a little sweaty down here, man.
What happened here?
No coins, please.
My neighbor's an asshole.
But we love you guys. We appreciate the love and support. We also ask and help get us out there and just let people know that the Wolfcast podcast is here and that we love to entertain you. So until next time, guys, we love you and we'll see you later. Bye.
Boy.
Later.